According to ASPCA, approximately 6.5 million animals enter shelters every year. As people's schedules become busier, they have less time to care for an animal. Pets are often surrendered to animal shelters because they've gotten bigger than expected or they require too much time. Elderly people also surrender their animals because their age, they can no longer take care of them properly. Animals are often gifted as pets as well, and these pets enter the animal shelters frequently because the receiver doesn't want them or is not responsible enough to take care of them. For example, at this time of year, bunnies are a very popular gift to young kids. These bunnies are often malnourished, unsocialized, and are not properly taken care of. The parents realize this but also don't want to be the caretaker, so they're surrendered to animal shelters. Chances of bunnies, for example, of getting adopted are a lot lower than, say, a cow or a dog because many people don't associate animal shelters with small animals. Each year, approximately 1.5 million animal shelters are euthanized every year. So there are way too many animals entering the shelters and not enough people adopting them. So how can we fix this problem? In order to lower the number of animals being euthanized, we have to adopt from our shelters. We have to advocate against puppy mills, and we have to take steps to lower the amount of puppies from being born and lower the chances of our furry friends from even entering the animal shelters. There are all sorts of animals in the animal shelters, from cats and dogs to horses and reptiles and guinea pigs and bunnies. Any animal you can think of, they're in the animal shelters. I personally have adopted a guinea pig named Snickers back in 2017, and she'll actually be turning 4 years old this Monday, but back to what I was previously saying, there's just too many animals in the shelters. According to the Humane Society for Shelter Pets, 5 in 10 dogs and 7 in 10 cats are euthanized because there's just simply nobody to adopt them. Humans are constantly on the go, doing this and doing that, so a pet just seems like another thing to take care of. I understand that a pet isn't for everybody, but when animals are constantly breeding and having more than one baby, it becomes a serious problem. In fact, every year in America, it's estimated that 2.11 million puppies that are sold originated from puppy mills, while 3 million are killed in shelters because they are too full and there's not enough adoptive homes. There are many places locally to adopt and foster a new pet, so many that there are about 3,500 animal shelters in the United States, as well as a large number of non-sheltered and fostering groups. Chances are that the county that you live in has a funded animal shelter. If you're familiar with McDonough County, our funded animal shelter is located in Macomb. Regulations to adopt are not that strict, so almost anybody can adopt a new pet. Although regulations vary depending on each location, you can check with the location holding the pet that you want to adopt to see what qualifications need to be met. Some qualifications could be you must be 21 years of age, owning a dog or another animal is a financial obligation that requires routine veterinary care, which can be very costly. A home visit also might be a requirement for potential adopters. Having a fenced-in yard is ideal, although your shelter of choice understands that this is not always possible. Should this not be an option, the adopter must be committed to daily walks and exercises in all kinds of weather, and current pets in the household must be spayed and neutered and up to date on vaccines. Most places let you adopt if you live in apartments, however, there may be a fee, or your apartment might not let you have animals, and most of the time you are responsible for paying for damages that your pet causes. Even after puppy mill horror videos have gotten into the hands of the public, there continues to be a demand for these pet store possessions. Pet stores might have the most irresistible and well-treated animals in the windows, but it's not always what it seems. Common problems in the pet shop industry include selling sick or injured animals, failing to provide proper veterinary care, keeping animals in unsanitary conditions, and using inhumane methods to treat or dispose of sick and unwanted animals. Female dogs are often bred at every opportunity with little to no recovery time between litters. When, after a few years, they are physically depleted to the point of not being able to reproduce anymore, breeding females are often killed. So what can we do about this? We can bring about change in local pet stores if you know the conditions and what to look for and the steps to take. Look for signs of ill health, such as listlessness or diarrhea. Maybe they're abnormally thin and they have a dull coat, or runny eyes or a dry nose. Check the general sanitation conditions. Notice signs of cockroach infestation, rodent droppings on the floor, or rusty and dirty cages. Also look for water bottles containing algae or scum, empty water bottle containers, or animals who are having difficulty obtaining water. For dogs, look for solid flooring. If a tray is used, it must be flat on the floor. There should be no more than one large dog in a single cage. Look for signs of distemper. For cats, look for signs of upper respiratory disease, eyes covered with an inner membrane or a runny nose and eyes, and sneezing. A bird should not be resting on the bottom of its cage. It's a sign of illness, or it could have been thrown off the perch by others. Cages should not be crowded. Check fish tanks for crowding and dead fish. But where are these animals coming from? The vast majority of dogs sold in pet stores are raised in puppy mills or breeding kennels located mostly in the Midwest that are notorious for their cramped, crude, and filthy conditions and for the continuous breeding of unhealthy and hard to socialize animals. Small animals, also referred to as starter animals, are also coming from these unregulated backyard operations. PETA's eyewitness investigation of reptiles reports an enormous mill is supplying frogs, lizards, snakes, crustaceans, and turtles to PetSmarts and other worldwide pet stores. Documented animals in severely crowded and filthy tubs fought for food, leading to bloody and mangled limbs, which were often left to rot off. In most states, all of these are legal. It's estimated that there are about 10,000 puppy mills in the U.S. and fewer than 3,000 are regulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Animals in these mills suffer physical conditions including being malnourished because the water and food provided is contaminated or is crawling with bugs. Bleeding or swollen paws, their feet are falling through wire cages, severe tooth decay, dehydration, and lesions on their eyes, which often lead to blindness. In order to put these cruel puppy mills out of business, we need to only adopt from animal shelters. I say only to adopt from animal shelters and not licensed breeders because why breed females to produce more puppies while there are millions in shelters dying? There are many things that we can do to prevent the mistreatment of animals and save the ones in the shelters. Encourage pet stores that sell animals not to do so. Petco agreed not to sell large birds such as cockatoos and macaws after recognizing the inherent cruelty in confining these wild animals and subjecting them to inadequate care. Encourage pet stores that sell animals not to do so. Petco agreed not to sell large birds such as cockatoos and macaws after recognizing the inherent cruelty in confining these wild animals and subjecting them to inadequate care. Report any sick or injured animal to your local animal control agency or the police department immediately. Spay and neuter your animals. This will treat the unwanted pregnancies by the mother and the mother's owner. Encourage your friends and families to follow suit with adopting. Microchip your animals in case they get out. You know where to find them and they won't end up in the animal shelters. Educate people about the harms of pet stores. Do not support companies, breeders, mills who use cruel treatments towards these animals for profit. Don't get a pet unless you've done the research necessary to be able to properly care and provide for their needs. Make sure you can afford the type of pet that you want. Pets are very expensive, and a lot of the animals in the shelters are there because their owner could no longer afford them. Don't intentionally breed your animals. There are millions of animals in the shelters looking for homes. Shelters are overcrowded and there's too many animals in them. In conclusion, information about the horrors of puppy mills needs to be discussed. The alternatives need to be utilized better. Now that we are informed about the mistreatments of animals, it is up to us to make a conscious choice when choosing our next pet. We can stand against the exploitation of these animals by rescuing them from animal shelters, informing people about the harms of pet stores and puppy mills, and how we can prevent animals from entering the shelters and saving animals' lives.